Welcome back to our channel. Thank you for clicking on this video. Low-key, I missed y'all, bro. Not even on some corny mess. Like, I really missed y'all. I'm excited to talk about this chapter 66 of Kaiju number 8. See what y'all think about it in the comment section a little bit. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So we ended off last week's chapter with Vice Captain Hoshina basically telling Kafka that he was going to help him enhance himself, or aka we're going into Kafka's training arc. With this chapter, we see Hoshina pulling up to the grounds that him and Kafka are basically going to start off with their training at, which is the Ryunei Shrine. Here we get an awesome depiction of what the shrine actually looks at, as well as these dope looking food dogs out in front, and these food dogs are very intimidating and I love how fierce they look, as well as just how beautifully Matsumoto truly did draw this shrine. It's once again him in his bag. If there's one thing that I love about his art, it's very much so the awesome layouts that he gives us. We do get intricate details in everything that he draws, but specifically the layouts that he does. Whenever Reno took that crazy shot at the Hanju at the end of the last mission, whenever we see this shrine, things like that, I just really love Matsumoto's drawing. But to get right back into it, basically just learn the importance of the Ryunei Shrine. Hoshina tells us that this was basically here because warriors who died slaying kaiju back in the day have been enshrined here since the Edo period, and this includes Hoshina's ancestors. From there, Hoshina asks Kafka if he's familiar with the Daikaiju attack that happened during the Mariki era, and Kafka is very familiar with the attack. He says that the attack happened in 1657 in the Kanto area, and this Daikaiju caused cataclysms that were so bad in this area that it almost turned the whole city into cinders, which makes me think that this kaiju might have had some sort of fire powers of sorts. Just me kind of reading into the words, thinking cinders, fire, and if it is a fire kaiju, that would be awesome, the same exact way that like Reno's the ice kaiju. So be really cool to kind of see more information about this Daikaiju as we keep going, and it's crazy to think that Daikaiju also do stem this far back. But from there, Hoshina says, yeah, and more than anything, there was more blood shed during this attack than any other time. And it just kind of gives Hoshina goosebumps, and he's like, hey, it kind of gets you hyped up, don't it? He was like, so, let's throw hands. And from there, Kafka's like, wait, what? And Hoshina says, yeah, man, like, no transformations, no gear, let's just throw hands. I want to see how much training you've done and how much better you've gotten since I've last seen you and you left the 3rd Division. So from there, next thing you know, him and Kafka boot up, and you see like Matsumoto draw this dope scenery background with like the gust of wind going through the background. It's like, and Kafka runs in to fight Hoshina, and next thing you know, Hoshina boots up and but on a real note, while Kafka's fighting, he's thinking to himself that he really just wants to prove himself to Hoshina. He's taken all this time away from the 3rd Division to join the 1st Division, and more than anything, without transforming, he just wants to show Hoshina how strong he's gotten. He wants to prove that he has worked. He wants to prove that he hasn't been slacking. And while Hoshina's just beating the hell out of him, he's thinking to himself, I can't even just prove to Hoshina that I can and I have gotten better without Kaiju number 8. And while Hoshina is kicking Kafka's ass on some hard-boiled ways, Hoshina's just like, Kafka, I can tell, man, like, you've really gotten stronger. Your arms are getting bigger, your movements have gotten faster. I can tell that you're not slacking at all, but still, where you're at right now is not gonna cut it. So he keeps on just beating Kafka, and Kafka thinks to himself like, all right, I just need to like block Hoshina's next strike and then attack. And right as that happens, Hoshina gears back just like General Isao did whenever Isao was fighting Kafka, and punches Kafka in the stomach and knocks him back. As he's getting knocked back, Kafka is thinking to himself, bro, this attack from Hoshina feels exactly how General Isao's attack did whenever he used that squadron style attack punch on me. So from there, that's when Hoshina tells us that he did in fact use the squadron style punch, because the squadron style combat technique is actually a style of hand-to-hand martial arts that's based on long-standing kaiju slaying combat maneuvers. And this was actually something that was perfected by Isao. So from here, Hoshina tells Kafka, hey, there is no point in you learning how to fight using weapons because you quite literally can't bring any power out of your suit. So instead, I'm gonna teach you how to fight like this. I'm gonna keep drilling this fighting style into you over and over and over again. That way, you don't have to stay in your Kaiju number 8 form as long. Presumably, if he knows how to fight like this, and this fighting style does actually slay Kaiju, which was what this maneuvers were created for, then Kafka will basically just transform into Kaiju number 8 form, beat or pummel whatever he's fighting, and then be able to get out of that form as fast as possible, which is best for Kafka because then we know that that will lead to the slowing of his permanent transformation. So it's one of those things where since Kafka is already willing to transform and Hoshina knows that nothing is going to stop him from doing that, Hoshina is just presenting him the best possible option to elongate how long this process would theoretically take. Hopefully we can take out as many Kaiju as needed before then, and maybe by that point we'll have found a cure for Kafka's permanent transformation. Hoshina finishes telling Kafka all of this by basically saying, I'm doing this so that you do have that chance to come and try to fight for that spot by Mina's side, but you're gonna have to overtake me to do that. You got that? And Kafka's like, yes sir. And right then we get what is the best part of Hoshina and Kafka's relationship. This whole chapter has been so serious, and right as soon as Kafka says yes sir, Hoshina immediately puts Kafka in a headlock and is like, who you saying yes sir to, bro? Like, don't act like you're stronger than me already. I'm just gonna teach you stuff. Like, you still gotta fight to get where I'm at. And I just love this dynamic between Hoshina and Kafka, man. It's just something that keeps this series so pure. And one thing that I've realized is there are a lot of great characters in this series, but Kafka and Hoshina do a lot of carrying for some of these character loads. But as that happens, you see both of them leave away from this training ground, and Kafka turns around to bow to the Ryunei shrine, basically after finishing with the training there. Whenever he turns around, we all are probably wondering exactly what Kafka just saw. If you look at the picture of this warrior that Kafka sees whenever he turns around and bows, this warrior looks very similar to earlier in the chapter whenever Hoshina was telling Kafka about the warriors that were fighting the Kaiju from 1657. So my best guess about what this warrior is that we saw this chapter end off with was, honestly, I think that this warrior is like a ghost of the past in some sense. And I don't know in what way, shape, or form, but I really believe that this warrior had some sort of connection with Kaiju number 8, because we kind of saw like that electric shock go through like the screen whenever Kafka was saying, who is this? Before Hoshina finally like snapped Kafka back into it, and then the ghost was gone after that. So what I'm thinking is, obviously Kaijus are very old, but how old is Kaiju number 8, y'all? And did Kafka have a connection to this warrior because he has this Kaiju inside of him? We know that this shrine was here for all the warriors of the past who have slain Kaiju. So do warriors of the past maybe see it as almost disrespect that a Kaiju presence is there in that shrine? Or maybe even more so, like I said, does Kaiju number 8 have some sort of connection with the past? Maybe somebody else in the past also used the Kaiju to help fight against Kaiju. This is something that is going to be very interesting to see. I'm interested to see what y'all think about this. Once this happened, the chapter is more or less over. So this is the big mystery of the week, or I guess for the next 2 weeks since we're bi-weekly, y'all. But I don't know, man. It was a great chapter. I loved reading it. It's funny to see Kafka get his ass whooped a couple of times, but other than that, I ain't got nothing else to say. So it's the end of the video, and I'm going to hit you with the peace. Come on, boy.